Oop, let me check. Correct the profile. Just starting the stream. Okay, we're live.
Good morning, everybody. This is episode 320 of the OotiniCast. And you know, it occurred to me, we must be getting close to our 6-year anniversary. I just need to check the date, because I can't remember what it is. I know it's around October, November, something. So let's quickly do that before we actually start the proper recording. How much is that? I used to have a widget on the... Oh, there it is. Select month. Whoa. November 2011. Huh. Episode 1 was on November 19, so that'll be for the next show. We'll talk about our anniversary. 6 years. 6 years. That's a long time. It's a long time. Did I tweet or did I not actually get that far? I think I got distracted by the shiny. Alright, 320. Alright, tweet. Done.
Wait, you get distracted by shiny?
Yeah, well, just a little bit sometimes, maybe. Right. Are we ready?
Sure.
Excellent.
Why not?
Excellent. 6 years PogChamp. How many kids? 2. And I can guarantee it will not be more, because that would be extremely unlikely. I can give you the probability. No, I can't. It would be extremely unlikely. Just 2. They're both doing well. Daughter's been sick, but she's on the mend. Son is just noisy.
Well, if you count Chill's run, that's 3.
That's true. All right, so 3 total.
Oh, man, a second one here.
3 is enough. R.I.P. Oh, come on. So Arceptor said R.I.P. APAC players, referring obviously to the move to the East Coast. We will talk more about that.
Yes,
and
indeed.
I've got to admit, I wasn't impressed by our increased ping.
No.
But no. So
I was
I don't think the server could actually be literally further from us at this point. It is literally.
Well, maybe
on the
if you're
other
in
side of the planet.
Australia.
Yeah, if you're in Australia, say. I suppose if I was on the west coast of Australia, it'd be worse.
Perth or something?
Actually, the fibre, if it went the other way, I don't know. Yeah, anyway. Rambling.
Doesn't the fibre come past us in New Zealand?
Our connection to the US, yes, it is
Yeah.
under the Pacific. It's amazing what they can do with fibre these days in terms of... Yeah, anyway. I got distracted with this. We're looking at it for work, laying some new fibre and looking at some of the new cool gadgets to send the most incredible amount of data over fibre. It's just amazing. All right. Sorry.
Oh, that's good news, Dekion.
What did he say?
2 Aussies in the ops, no problem. During Georgia.
Yes, and that is something we'll bring up because there's increased ping and then there's a gameplay experience. And if the gameplay experience doesn't change, regardless of ping, then you're good. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I have done some experimentation and it does seem okay. But we'll talk more about that. Let's take us live. Oh, sorry. Let's get us going, Chill.
Okay.
Are you going to be sitting on your hands, by the way, today, Tio? Or am I going to have to yell at you?
It's just a really uncomfortable, you know.
So what?
Yeah, right. I could just turn off my camera. That would not be fun. See, there you go. No hands.
That's one way to do it.
All right, sorry, Chill. Let's...
All right, going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that didn't scare me enough then. It does now. This is episode 320, being recorded on Thursday, November 2nd, 2017. I'm your host, Chill, with our producer and co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey, Chill, and isn't that a line from The Last Jedi?
It is.
We haven't even seen yet.
From
Amazing.
the trailer, so who knows if
Indeed.
it'll actually be in The Last Jedi. It
Yeah,
probably
good
will be,
point.
but it probably will be. It sounds like an important line, but you never know. Yeah, and our guest today is Liba Roja. Welcome back, Liba. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
And what have you been up to in the game?
In game, not much, because I've got so many assignments due.
Yeah.
I think my semester ends on the 1st of December. So as of then, I should have my degree.
Nice.
Unofficially, of course.
Unofficially.
Oh, wow.
Why unofficially?
Congratulations.
Well, I've got to wait till my results come in.
Ah, okay.
But,
if she fails something, yeah. But how likely is that?
That's pretty cool, though.
Very likely at this point.
Feels like it anyway.
No, I have got so many assignments that are like part done. It's not funny.
Right.
So
Well, you better finish it then. Chop chop.
I'm trying. Would you rather I was doing assignments than here, Tia?
Let me think about that. No, absolutely not. All right.
There you go.
Does this mean you haven't had a chance to actually do any SWOTOR, or you have?
I have. I've done a little with Chill, and I was back in game this morning just to see what the ping was like. I didn't experience any issues, but then that was at like 9 o'clock my time, which would still have not been prime time US, so who knows what it's going to be like prime time US.
Shouldn't make any difference, but we'll talk about that.
I'm on ADSL.
Again, shouldn't make any difference. The thing they've changed is a distance and hops between us and them, so even if there's no traffic...
Still.
Yeah, okay, we'll see.
I've had issues even when it was on the west coast, so who knows.
Okay. Well, this won't improve them, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know where the issue is. That's the problem.
Right.
Anyway, I've been doing a little bit as a deck officer, trying to get an op up and running. It hasn't worked so far, and I've had to put that on the back burner because assignments kind of, I think, are a tad more important. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they?
Well, you know, once you've done and dusted, then you can go back to working on the operation at that point.
Exactly. I did a little bit with Chill, and then time zone difference meant that he was trying to play while I was trying to finish assignments, so couldn't really play with him anymore. And on Sunday, New Zealand time, I'm getting up at some ungodly hour to help Unholy Alliance, Wookiee Mistake, with their Extra Life push.
Ah, right. For that charity that we can't actually contribute to, or doesn't help US hospitals. Sorry, doesn't help non-US hospitals. Is that the one?
Exactly.
Right.
Yes, so it starts at 4 o'clock my time. I'm helping out with an event that starts at 4:30.
Still a good cause.
Yeah. Good cause, and I don't mind helping out. It's just I'm not a morning person. Like any stretch of
coffee. You need to drink more coffee. That will fix things.
You think I don't drink coffee already?
You need to drink more.
That'll make me use the toilet.
All right, too much information. If accurate.
Anyway, and I had an assignment that I had to do, and that forced me to start blogging.
Oh, cool. And
So-
the assignment is to set up a blog or?
No, it was to do social media advertising for a company
God.
or blog.
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So
The things they teach the kids these days.
I'm a kid.
It's all relative.
You're
To
only
me, you
19
are.
years older than me.
Thanks for reminding me. Appreciate it.
Well, my mother has another 20 years on that, so
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it's all right.
yeah, that's
Okay.
about all I've been doing.
Awesome. Tio, how about your week?
So, oddly enough, I did pop in a few times into the game just to check the increased ping from Australia to the new location of the soon-to-be Sutil Shan server.
Do I have to actually hold the seat for this to stop myself falling off it?
What do you mean?
You've
Oh,
actually
right.
been in game.
No. I didn't actually do much. Just ran around a bit just to see how things were working, killed a few mobs, and,
Cleared out your
actually,
mailbox?
Yes. Actually, no, I didn't. I forgot. Yeah, uni starts up again soon, so that's going to be a little rough. Just doing a single subject over the summer break. Summer for us, winter for you guys. I must be crazy. But anyway.
You are.
So
But we already knew that.
I'll talk more about my experience when we talk about the increased ping time, which we've now alluded to any number of times. So once we get onto the news, we'll talk more. Anyway, over to you, Chill.
Oh, okay. Well, first, let's do a shout out to the chat room. And let's see, it's we've got Anu, Arcsceptor, Avenged Maximus, Death Thrones, Dekion, Devancy, Elion D2, Evan04111, Farseer's here, Liba's here as Liba Roja. Well, that's actually her name. I shorten it to Liba, actually. Lorhin, Pen is here, Pen Dracos, RJR75, Severities, Synerzy54, and Tugakan1. Hey, Tugakan, he jumped in on chat the other day on the stream. Yeah, so mostly I've been leveling my almost first-person character, Chill Prime. He's the Juggernaut. Chiss, and he's off to Voss next, so he's making pretty good progress. He's level 43, and I finally bought an outfit for him. I went for the Darth Scion outfit, and it works really awesome with his gigantic body type 3 Chiss look, and I've got a screenshot there of him. He's looking very, very tough.
And is that some sort of metallic stud into his pectoral?
Yeah, exactly. There's on the back it looks essentially identical, so there's basically no way that thing can be on his shoulder unless it's like surgically implanted in, to his skeleton or something.
Fair enough.
It's kind of badass, so it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's a good look and it's a lot of fun because I always figure, if you're gonna go for like the tough Force user, they don't really need armor. The Force is their armor,
That's true.
right?
Yeah.
They don't need plasteel and all that junk. So, so yeah, he looks really good. Obviously, I don't get to see it as much since I'm basically right behind his head, nearly doing it first person. But it's still fun, and of course, I get to see him in all the cutscenes. And this is just the straight. I tried looking at it with different dyes, but none of them look better than the original, which was basically black and red. So it's all good. And yeah. It just finally got here, but I haven't had a chance to put it together. But I finally bought a gaming chair, so I won't be using this creaky thing. See if I can make it creak.
Is it one of those racing chairs? Looks like it should be in some sort of sports vehicle.
Exactly. It looks supposed to be very comfy. It looks very comfy, and I've pulled out the pieces, but I didn't have a chance to put them together yet. So,
do you recall that Aliva had one? Is that what tempted you, or this was an independent
Aliva,
choice?
but also like a lot of streamers use them.
Yeah,
I think just because if you're going to be sitting in a chair, for a long period of time, it really does behoove yourself to be in a comfortable chair.
Absolutely.
And I have basically like a glorified lawn chair with casters on it. It's pretty bad, so I'm pretty happy to get to splurge a little and get an actual decent chair.
Your back will thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, obviously don't have it ready today, and tomorrow evening I'm with friends, but I should be able to stream with it and have it up and running on Saturday, so that's when I'll be able to use it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Sweet.
Yeah. And yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at the Extra Life stuff for Saturday, but I will probably at least check in and see how the guys are doing with that and see if they need some help and all that good stuff. Because that sounds like a good thing. All right, let us go then to the tip of the week. We've got one tip, and I'll go ahead and read it. It's from Agent Iron Spider. Very nice. Jonathan Spiorn is his main, and here's a tip for farming cartel coins before the big merge. Completing the starting planet for a class earns you 20 cartel coins for 120 coins per server. Wouldn't it be 160? Am I wrong? Aren't there eight basic classes? But whatever. If you do this for all the servers before the merge, that would be 2,040 cartel coins. Well,
no, you're right. It should be 160.
Yeah.
How many servers are there at the moment? 12?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that math also works anymore. But
yeah,
that's
no,
okay.
It doesn't.
It's all good.
Let's see. A lot and a huge lot.
Right,
cartel
right.
coins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe he just really doesn't like a couple of the classes so much that he
Yeah,
can't
good
even
point.
think of them anymore. So
Yes.
anyway, the winner is, of course, Agent Iron Spider. Congratulations, you're the winner of a Ton Fawn or M83R Droid pet code, courtesy of BioWare, and a new OotiniCast provided Cartel Market Pack from the latest shipment. And if you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com by a week from next Wednesday. And that will bring us to the Hollow feed, Tio.
So quite a lot happening, obviously, as we head towards United Forces, which is actually only a weekish away from now. It's on November the 8th is the actual merge. So what I thought I'd do is just walk through the schedule in terms of where things are, and some of this has already happened. So let's just talk through what has happened and what is to come. So Tuesday, back on October 10th, was Game Update 5.5, which we talked about last show. Then October 24th was extended maintenance. And this is where we had a bit of a surprise. Anyway, this was supposed to be back in maintenance. There was no patch for the client. It was for hardware upgrades happening in our data centers, plural, which was true. Well, I did want to mention that character transfers have been disabled as of back on October 24th, and they won't be turned on until after United Forces. And they haven't said how long, TBD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course,
that
that doesn't hurt the tip of the week because you can always make a character on any server regardless.
absolutely true. No, that tip of the week is genius. So if you just want to farm yourself some cartel coins, or you haven't got those achievements on those other servers yet, maybe that's what cut him down, because he's probably got both sides on the current server, and he's going to go to all the other servers and create characters. Maybe. Anyway. Right. Now, after that maintenance on 24 October, we got a post from Keith, and this is what he said. They completed the upgrade of the game servers along with their supporting infrastructure in the data centers. They made a large investment of new hardware and software. Again, I don't know what new software is, but at least they've got new servers, rack-mounted servers, no doubt. And one of our goals was to substantially reduce our footprint while improving our overall server capacity. During their evaluation of those new servers, as in presumably the new hardware, they determined they could also combine the North American data centers. Yeah, and so that actually also happened already. So it's just, there was no forewarning of this at all. And as of now, the West Coast data center is no more. They have taken the Harbinger and its accompanying servers and, virtually relocated them to the East Coast data center. Whether they moved the hardware or not, or they had extra PCs, who knows. But anyway, West Coast data center is closed. Now, when they say reduce their footprint, and as part of upgrading the server hardware, obviously they use probably less physical servers, and now they're only using one data center. This has got cost saving written all over it, as in the ongoing cost is going to be a lot cheaper. As in they have completely eliminated a presence in a data center. I'm under no illusion they had an entire data center dedicated to the SWOTOR, and they're no doubt sharing, but that's still an ongoing cost that is now eliminated. So they're going to run that much cheaper.
They could probably argue that they have an energy saving from this as well, so therefore they are reducing the footprint on the environment. But
that's true. Sure, if you want to say that. Though one could.
I'm not trying to come up with
Justifications,
excuses for them in any way, shape, or form. But
now, what they did say is our testing showed no impact on the gameplay experience for any of you. But we do expect some of you playing on formerly West Coast servers may see higher ping times. Well, of course you're going to see higher ping times. Now, let's just be clear. Ping times are related to latency. Latency is the amount of time it takes the packets to get from wherever the servers to wherever your PC. And when IP packets travel over the network, they bounce from server to server, from router to router to router. And every hop you add adds time. Now, the actual IP packets travel at the speed of light, typically, because it's mostly going over fiber, and even electrons come close to moving at the speed of light. Not quite. And so when you add in distance, additional routers, it will get slower. That will increase your latency. No matter what your bandwidth is, you could have a terabyte connection to your home, which some people probably do in Japan or somewhere, but it makes no difference because between here and there, the packets are just going to take time. Remember, the amount of traffic that moves between the game server and our clients is actually quite small, ridiculously so, because all the graphics are actually already loaded on your computer, which is why data mining works. You can just look at the assets. So that means the game can play as well over an ADSL connection as it does over fiber. But, and so as he says, ping times have increased, and that is inevitable. Chill, how much has yours increased, given that you live on the West Coast?
Right. Before the move, it was almost always 16, which is really, really nice.
Yes.
And now it's in the high 90s or low 100s, like 195 to 105.
Geez, that surprises me. Now, you're in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest. I guess there's quite a few hops between you and their server
I
now,
guess, yeah. This is
which
where, Kentucky or something, I heard?
Virginia
Virginia? Yeah.
is a state. I don't know exactly where.
Yeah, so it's about halfway down the eastern seaboard.
Right.
And, yeah, there would probably be a few hops as it, first got to one of the big spines that go left to, east to west or across the country. So, yeah, it probably has to go through Chicago or something like that.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, what about your gameplay experience? As in, how does it feel playing?
So far, I really have not noticed a difference. I have not done PvP yet, so I don't know about that. But in terms of like what I regularly do, which, as almost always, is leveling, yeah, it hasn't been a problem. So
Now, and this is where I wanted to emphasize the whole gameplay experience thing. The way that MMOs such as SWTOR and World of Warcraft and any other MMO like that is to do a bunch of predictive stuff in your client. So your client is actually extremely clever in sort of guessing what's happening back on the server. So even though the traffic is now delayed, it's more or less predicting what's happening. And while you can't fill the server is still the master. And if there was any difference between the two, between your client and the server, it will then correct, and that's when you get rubber banding, where like you see another player and they suddenly move to a different location. That's a server catching up. That's your client catching up with where they actually are as far as the server is concerned. So, but the game has been engineered in such a way that it's supposed to mask that, which is why for us, who've always had us in Australia, on the east coast of Australia, my ping has always been around 190 milliseconds on average, and it plays just fine. So mine has gone up by about 40 milliseconds, oddly enough. And so it's sitting around 232, 235 milliseconds. And as I said earlier, it doesn't really make much difference. All right, Libo Roja, you are in New Zealand. And what about you? Have you noticed how much your latency has increased?
No, I mean, I was running around a bit this morning and had no issues. Nothing was going any slower, nothing. Like, my moves were happening as I was expecting them to, nothing. So.
Okay. So, yeah, while I was initially a little disturbed by the increased ping time, I suspect that the way the game is running, it actually won't make much, if any, difference to me. As Chill mentioned, though, in PvP, those milliseconds can actually count. But until you do some PvP, I don't know. The Shadowy Nightmare just mentioned in chat that he has tried PvP since the move, and it was pretty laggy. He also lives in the Pacific
close to me,
Northwest.
yeah. Seattle instead of
His
Portland
ping's up in
area.
the 110. Now, whether the lag is due to, and as he implies, the lag is either due to the distance, which seems a bit unlikely, or it's actually the server itself, which is under more stress because of part of the move, I guess. Which means it would be lagging for everyone, regardless of where you are in the world, even if you're like sitting right on the data center. All right. What else to talk about there? Anyway, a lot of people were a little disturbed by this move without any warning whatsoever. So there was a second post from BioWare where they answered some questions. Why not communicate this ahead of time? And they actually decided quite explicitly not to. They wanted people to have the ability to immediately log on and determine the impact to your gameplay experience. So it was like, surprise, log on and see what happens. And they could quickly start gathering feedback on what you're seeing in-game. Now, I assume they were trying to preempt people moving servers or whatever. I don't know what they would actually do in advance if they knew about this. That could change anything. Maybe if you knew in advance that they were moving data centers, you would have certain expectations on what the experience would be like. But if you didn't know and you just logged in, and if you didn't notice anything, you found out later, but it didn't make any difference, so why would you care? Maybe. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. My ping has gone up since the change and it's affecting my gameplay. What options do I have? And they want you to report it. So they are really doing all they can to mask the effect of the increased ping on players just through the way the client works. Given the kind of stuff they have to do do that masking, I can't see them changing it, but they can possibly make further changes. And if you are being affected, please let them know. And I guess if it was really bad for like all the West Coasters and the rest of us, they could potentially reopen the data center. But somehow, I don't think that's going to happen.
That does sound unlikely. Yeah. Once you've
Now,
made a big move like that.
Yes. No, you're right. Could there be one data center in this central US? In the middle of the US, basically, like, say, Austin, where BioWare is actually located.
Right.
So the pings are more even for each coast.
Maybe just head further north than Austin so no hurricanes get it.
Oh, they can harden that kind of stuff. Be fine. Anyway, and they said, creating an entirely new data center is a daunting task, even above and beyond the substantial changes they've already made. It's just not viable, essentially. So actually putting it in the middle of the US probably would be better. Well, for everyone, actually, except for the East Coasters. So, nah, not going to happen. And I suspect they really are trying to minimize the cost of producing SWTOR. So, one data center, yeah, they're probably going to stick with it. And moving it would just be more expense, which I suspect, after all this investment, they're just not going to do. And an obvious question, since we're all now in one data center, as in East Coast and West Coast US servers, why not just have one server? Because they're going to be combining what was East and West Coast into two different servers, which were going to be physically distinct. Why not put them all in one server? And the answer is, this would introduce several challenges. One, players would experience queues. Players would likely experience queues accessing the server, and it would increase the chance of server instability and downtime, and a bunch of other stuff. And also, if you combined all those servers, as in the totality of the US servers, there'd be even more name clashes for characters. Sure.
I suppose that's true.
What it basically means is, while their new hardware and whatever else they've done can deal with increased number of characters per server better, and thus that allows them, they can't go that far, as in the complete number of US players. Just would be too much for one of their new servers. So no. The West Coast server, which isn't anymore, is just this. So basically we now got two East Coast servers, the Satil Shan and the Starforge. And, well, at this point you may as well just move to the other one because it doesn't make any difference, does it?
I suppose that's true.
If you want a cooler name.
If you like the cooler name, right?
Yes.
How about sticking with friends?
That'll
Sticking
work
with
too.
what?
Friends.
No, yeah, that would probably make sense too. Alright. Now, November 8th is going to be the big move, as I mentioned earlier, and they are planning an extended maintenance, 12 hours. And you can imagine why. They're going to be doing a whole lot of database merges and all kinds of other stuff to get all the players off the previous servers and onto the new one. And we'll be starting a few hours earlier than usual. I wonder what that means. Usually starts 5-ish a.m., 6 a.m. Pacific time. So, yeah. That'll be right in our evening for Australia, but we're already getting screwed, so it doesn't matter really, does it?
Oh,
Now,
it'll
I did...
start impacting New Zealand prime time, though.
Indeed. Outrageous. And like Blaze said, database mergers do take time, and yes, they do take time. And the sheer volume of players that have played SWOTOR and are still playing SWOTOR, you can just imagine how much data there actually is for all our characters. A lot. Just an insane amount, I suspect. Alright, now I did tweet out just asking what people experienced. Firstly, just a general thing, the East Coasters, people who live on the East Coast but played on the Harbinger and the other West Coast servers, are happy as a pig in mud because obviously their ping has gone down. It's just the rest of us who are affected. Let's see. So Hilto McShane says floats between 100 to 150 milliseconds worst case, though some of his raid members are looking closer to 500 milliseconds, where previously it was 400 milliseconds. So it's gone up. For me, it's 40 milliseconds. For them, it's gone up 100 milliseconds. It all depends on the route between where your client is and the server. Now, I should mention at this point something Darksplat, Jeremy, brought up was there are services which we in the Pacific region utilize, which you can use to log into the game, and they provide a bridge that... I'm not sure exactly how it works, whether they're using some kind of dedicated fast connection or a secure tunnel or something that skips routing. But that will actually reduce your ping. World of Warcraft has been using this kind of thing, but they support all games, so SWOTOR as well. So that is something to look into. Now, Roger C says 60 to 80 milliseconds worse, 80 to 100 milliseconds total. From California, still playable, but noticeable during spikes. Yeah, and that could be a local lag spike or a server spike. So, again, don't know.
Yeah, and those numbers are very similar to mine. So, I haven't had too many spikes, but again, just playing solo, it's, I mean, unless it's really obvious, it's not going to be too bad.
All right. Well, per composer, that's Ivalon, who has been on the show recently and was featured on the latest episode of Crypto Biography. Excellent interview, Chill. It was really good to hear Ivalon talk about his career as a composer.
Yeah, it was fun to talk with him about it. He's really, he's so, knowledgeable, of course, but also just, very passionate about it.
Now, he lives in California, and he's getting 75 millisecond ping, though he had 3 to 4 big spikes, which he doesn't normally get. It'll be interesting to see whether any of that persists once we're onto the new, bigger server. Yeah, we'll see. Flesh Ribbon, being in Texas, his Harbinger ping used to be around 20 to 30 milliseconds, higher than the average Jedi Covenant East Coast ping. And yesterday's Harbinger ping was about the same as Jedi Covenant, which would make perfect sense, since they're the same. They're probably sitting right next to each other in the rack. He wonders whether the metrics showed the majority of subscribers, as opposed to players, were on the East Coast servers. Now, I suspect it's more due to just there are more players on the East Coast of the US because the East Coast of the US is more populated. It's just the way it works.
Right.
They've always had two. Back when we had PvE servers, there were 2 PvE servers on the East Coast and just 1 on the West Coast, which was the Harbinger. We had the Shadowlands and Jedi Covenant on the East Coast. So yeah, there were just always more players on the East Coast. It just made more sense. Just more people. And I assume just a even proportion of them are subscribers regardless of where they are. So yes, technically there are more subs on the East Coast. So yeah, anyway, that was a bit of a surprise about the whole move. When we just thought that would just be, get prepping things ready for the big merge, but yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was a big merge, all right.
Yeah. Was there ever. One more to come. They're going to have some more downtime on October 31st. Now, they actually moved that. They were going to do it on 1st November, I think, but they moved it just because in Europe it was a public holiday. So they just moved it to avoid that. They were going to do it on the Wednesday, which is odd, but fair enough. And that happened. That is done. We had Game Update 5.5a, which was during that downtime, where what they've done is they fixed a few typos in achievements, the new ones. The Conquest reset has changed, now 6 hours later, with the new reset time being 6 p.m. UTC, whatever that is in your local time, so 1800 UTC. And the CXP rewards for the following weekly missions has been increased substantially. So these are the daily areas, though you have to do the weekly, so you can only do these once per week, obviously. Iacath is now 10k CXP, Oricon 6750, McKeb 8000, Yavin 4 9000, Black Hole 6750, as is Section X, and CZ 198 and Zyos are both 5625 CXP. So quite a bit more than the sub 100 or whatever it was. So this is obviously just like the bug that was in place for a while, and they've kind of returned it. It's not as much,
Right,
still
and,
not
and it's
too
not
bad.
connected to the ones you can do every day, but
Exactly.
yeah.
Still not too shabby at all. That was that. And let's see. Also coming up, obviously, is Game Update 551, which is on November 8th. That's the actual merge.
Okay,
Yes.
so
And-
yeah, next time.
Yep, for a full week after that, double XP, CXP, Valor, and Shipwreck for Galactic Starfighter for a week after November 8th. It's all simply to encourage you to log in and play. They also posted today about the rewards that will be happening. We've already heard about this. You have to log in between November 8th, once the merger, and November 27th. And that will give you the Mini Mogul NM1 mini pad just for logging in, pretty much. It's, and as we talked about, it is based on the Battle Walker used by Karaga in Karaga's Palace. The Mini Mogul NM1.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. There's the picture of it with the Karaga's hat on it is awesome.
Yeah. It is literally the miniature version, and as Jill pointed out, it's wearing the purple hat. I remember Hip loved that hat.
He did.
That was a permanent part of his character. Yeah. And also, now remember, you have to play either 3 PvE or 3 PvP missions via the Group Finder between November 8th and November 27th to win Darth Hexed.
I thought it was a combination, 3 things, and it was a combination of anything in the Group Finder. Well, that's what I was sensing.
They clarified it.
Okay.
And they tied it to the achievement you get for either doing 3 PvE or 3 PvP. So yes, you have to do one or the other. Initially, it did imply you could do one or both, but yeah. Just pick your poison, PvE or PvP, or you can do both, obviously, all 3 of each and get both achievements. Either way, you get Darth Hexed, who is the tormentor of the weak and bane of all who oppose her. She's earned a fearsome reputation in the many battles between the Sith Empire and the forces of Zakul, and she is eager to face greater challenges and expand her infamy. She seeks a partnership with someone who takes on the deadliest enemies the galaxy has to offer. The Alliance Commander. That's you and me and everyone. Yes. Anyway, apparently there is
a good screenshot
mission.
of her too.
It is. Yeah, she looks pretty good. So if we won her instead during the Dark versus Light event, that would have been great. But we get her anyway now. Fantastic.
Well, if we won her during DPL, then we probably would have gotten Master Enos now.
Yeah, that's true. So it's not like we miss out. Everyone's a winner eventually. Now, you can recruit Darth Hexed as part of a mission on Odessen once you've completed the Knights of the Eternal Throne. So you have to go through the story and recruit her. Or you can just use a thing that turns up in your in-game mail and get them straight away. Kind of weird to have them as your companion as you're recruiting them, but whatever. Roll with it. I'm sure it'll be fine. And this is just the start of what's going to happen with the merger and united forces. And learn more about the update log, check the blog. We've already gone through all of that information. Now, and just a reminder what's coming up, Game Update 5.6 is on November 28th. So that's after all this event's been going on, after the merger. And that's when we get the new flashpoints set on the Chiss world of Capero. A traitor among the Chiss. And also we get the third boss in the Gods from the Machine operation, which is Nahut. Nahut. Cool. Right. So, and reminder, even though they said we get all 5 this year, they sort of didn't have time, etc. So we'll get the last 2 encounters in 2018, early-ish, hopefully. Yes. Find out what Theron's been up to with the Chiss. I think we've reached the point where it doesn't matter talking about that anymore. Now, utility changes. They did sort of mention this was going to happen in that same update, Game Update 5.6 on November 28th, and they have listed all of them. I will link to the post in our show notes, of course. And there's lots and lots and lots, and we are not going to go through them one by one because that would be silly. Though they have updated the ones for Marauders and Sense. They changes they were going to make. That's because, and responding to player feedback. So please, look at what they've got in mind. There's plenty of time between now and then. And if you reckon they should change something, let them know, and they will respond, hopefully, because they have already. That was in direct response to player feedback. Yes, is there anything here that jumped out at anyone that we want to talk about? Because there's so many. It's pretty much everything has been affected. Every single discipline in every single class.
Right. Yeah, I'm leveling a Juggernaut right now, so I'm trying to figure out all the differences there, but I'm not sure exactly how to think about it. So, yeah, it definitely looks like there's a couple of them that are a little better. So, yeah, it should be good.
They've used this as an opportunity to change things like how your defensive effectiveness is, like for the tanks and maybe even DPS effects and whatever. There are dev notes associated with each class, so they have explained why they're changing it, which is good. So I strongly suspect, reading through this, look at the classes that you play and just see what's happening. And as I said, let them know if something's cray-cray, so they can actually do something about it. And finally, Game Update 5.6.1, December 12th. That's just that's when we kick off Life Day, Wookiee Life Day.
Ah, cool.
Yes, and the SWTOR 6-year anniversary celebration. And some quality of life changes. We'll see what's in there. Now, speaking of United Forces, character slots. It's possible that a player could have... They just go through the fact that when they do the merger, some people have many characters on many servers. You will end up with all of them on the single server that you have been merged to. And they have clarified how many character slots we will have after the merger. So free to play will have a default of 4 per server, up from 2. Preferred, a default of 12, up from 6. You can see the doubling here. Subscribers will have a default of 24 character slots, up from 12, which means you do not have to buy them anymore. You will start with 24. You won't just have 12. Now, why do character slots matter? If you're going to get them all, and remember, every single character that you have after the merger will be playable. The big difference is that you will not be able to create a new character. This is what I experienced because in the last round of mergers years ago, I ended up with a whole ton of them, and I could not create a new character until you are below the limit. So if you want to create a new one, you've actually got to delete characters until you're down to having a slots free, basically.
Right.
Or buy new character slots.
Well,
they would prefer that way.
They've increased the maximum number of character slots per server for up to 100. It was 52. Now, you do have to buy them beyond your original 24. And that previous account-wide character slot purchase is now a whole lot less meaningful. What if they're going to reduce the price of it? Now, previously when you bought a character slot, it went on all your servers. Now you've got a whole lot less servers. So, we'll see. So they explain all that. That's pretty much it. Yeah, your additional character slots. If you purchased like 30 in the past on top of your 12, you will now have those 30 on top of 24. So you're basically getting 12 free character slots is the way it's going to work. So no one's losing that, at least. And the server caps don't affect each other, so you could have 100 on the Satil Shan and 100 on Starforge if you really want to. Purchasing your character unlocks will add a slot on both of the mega servers. And obviously, all those character slots you've unlocked will transfer to the new servers, combined servers. They just won't be additive. So if you've bought 10 and had them on every single server on the East and West Coast, now you'll just have 10 extra on each new server. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's that. United, the lead up and what happens after United Forces. Any thoughts before we move on? It goes live on November 8th, which is a Wednesday.
Somehow I think Chill's going to really enjoy this update. He won't have to buy any more character slots for a while.
Yeah, I'll probably delete a few characters that kind of roll over, because I've played on other servers just to try it out, but not very much, so I won't have any issues in deleting them. I probably won't even remember what characters they are. So...
Indeed.
I also had, maybe you have something like this also, Tio, where at one point I was helping give out like the prizes to the contest winners, and so I had like just random characters made on just about all the servers because of that.
As I have as well. So
yep, they're coming
we'll end
home.
up with a whole lot of so to speak. I will delete them rapidly, I suspect. Because for those characters, I didn't like choose their appearance. It was just random, except...
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be easy to spot them.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, I'm pretty sure it will actually open up some more slots for me, actually. So I guess that'll
Well,
work.
if we're going to be able to get an extra 12 slots on the Sutil Charm, as it's going to be, you're going to get an extra 12 slots.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. I'm just trying to think if there were, any other servers where I played enough that I would actually want to keep the characters.
Right.
Probably not.
I'm sure there
We'll see.
aren't 12 characters. There's not 12 servers on the West Coast.
No, you never... Well, no.
Yeah. Well, I
created
also did a
everywhere.
little bit of actual play on other servers as well.
Yeah.
Just not
And that.
not for a long time though.
Remember, you will lose your name, most likely, if... Well, that's not true. Just remember, as part of the merger, there can only be one of a given character name, so if there's any kind of clash, one of you is going to lose your name, and the others, only one can keep it, essentially. So, yeah, be ready for that. And
Right.
as we talked about previously, they're basing it on how much you've played on that character, and yada yada, how
Right.
recently you've logged in.
And if it's a low-level character, make sure to log on to your character so that at least it registers as a character that you've played on recently.
Roger.
Because
Yes.
that seemed to be one of the one of the factors for low-level characters.
Yeah. Has my audio dropped, by the way, Chill? About the
No,
same.
you sound pretty good.
All right. Okay, now, next in the news, let's just talk about the fact that KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, is being released on Xbox. In fact, it was released back on 24 October. Re-released, obviously. Is it re-release? No, it is
I
for the
think
first
it was
time.
released.
On Xbox One, at least. Because it was on the console originally.
Right.
Which one would that have been? That was a long time ago when the original game was released. Anyway, to celebrate that in SWOTOR, there's a couple of things they've done. There's codes you can enter. This is just in-game codes. So you go to SWOTOR.com and enter the code. Revan Returns, all caps. Whether it's case sensitive or not, I don't know. Anyway, the code is supposed to be Revan Returns. And that will give you your own KOTOR-inspired swoop bike. And I believe someone let us know that this has actually already been awarded previously, so you may already have it. But, yes.
Yeah, the Kekron Dagger Star. Yeah, that's that golden colored one. Yeah,
Right.
with like the 3 points on it.
I thought Revan Returns was for the Shadow of Revan expansion.
Sorry, you are correct. I read that wrong. Alright. KOTOR Speeder. I'll just cut that in later. And also, there's another code, Revan Returns. And this will basically unlock all the X-Packs for SWTOR up to and including Shadow of Revan for free-to-play players. So you can pretty much play all the way through the game without paying a cent up to Shadow of Revan. Obviously not the Knights of the whatever, but yes, up to that point for free. Previously you had to be a subscriber to actually get it. How's that? Of course, it used to be you just subscribe and it's unlocked. Same with Knights of the Eternal Throne, etc. You subscribe, even for just a month, everything is unlocked. But the in-game itself, the CXP stuff, Command XP, is all based behind Galactic Command requires you to be subbed to take advantage of it. But if you just want to play through the story, you can now do so for free using Revan Returns to unlock everything up to and including Shadow of Revan, and then sub once and you get everything else if you want to keep going.
Cool.
Yep, there's some new stuff on the KOTOR market, some KOTOR themed armor, and you can actually buy in the KOTOR market for 2 weeks only. You've only got until November 7th to get this one for 10 KOTOR coins only. You can get the title Revan's Heir, and this appears to be a account-wide unlock, or maybe the legacy. I'm not sure, because I unlocked it and it seemed to be in my collection for all my characters. Can anyone confirm or deny that? So,
Hang on a minute. Does that mean you actually spent cartel coins?
I did 10. You'd be amazed at how many cartel coins I actually have. It's just
Well, yeah, it's tough for, what is it, almost 6
if I don't
years.
spend them, it's that rainy day I'm saving for.
That's right.
Just never know. Now, also,
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to cost that much to you.
True. Now, as part of the KOTOR being released on the Xbox, we also had James Olin, who is a director of design at BioWare, and he just talked about his experience basically being the lead designer on SWTOR, as he was. Of course, now he's been promoted and is now some sort of strategic high-level person. Though I'm sure he does still influence how things are going on SWTOR and other BioWare properties. So yeah, I would recommend reading through that, because he's been in the gaming industry forever, pretty much. Yeah. And also Drew Karpyshyn, who effectively invented Revan, you could say, and was certainly a writer for KOTOR, and wrote the Revan novel and such like, and is back. I don't know what exactly he's working on, but he's certainly doing some writing for SWTOR now. He talked about bringing Revan, the evolution of Revan, and basically all the way from KOTOR through to the conclusion of his story, if you like, in SWTOR. So again, I'll link to that as well. Very cool. Anything more to talk about there with KOTOR?
Just that I thought Drew Karpyshyn's, his idea that that Revan is sort of the through line and the thread that sort of ties together all the KOTOR and SWTOR stories, all the Old Republic tales, is a good one, because Revan as well as the Emperor are sort of like the two big good guys, or Revan's very complicated, but good guys, and then bad guys that are that we get to see throughout this huge long arc. And yeah, and if you haven't read the Star Wars The Old Republic Revan novel, it's quite good. It's probably my second favorite of the Old Republic novels. And yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff in that about all the characters that you would have known from KOTOR, but especially Revan, of course, and a lot of details that get filled in. But then you also get to see one or two characters that you will meet in Star Wars: The Old Republic as well. So it's kind of a nice tie together there as well.
Yeah. So Revan's basically, we are playing at some level Revan's story all the way through to the conclusion of Shadow of Revan, where and that is effectively KOTOR 3. People have asked for KOTOR 3. Could BioWare ever release because there was obviously KOTOR 2. after the original Knights of the Old Republic, could there be a Knights of the Old Republic 3? And, well, no, because Shadow of Revan essentially is Knights of the Old Republic 3. Playing through that story does finish Revan's story well and truly. And one could also say that playing through Knights of the Fallen Empire, Knights of the Eternal Throne, may pretty much tie a bow around the Emperor's story too.
As far as we can tell, yeah.
Yeah, which makes you wonder, where next?
I guess we'll find out with, what is it, 7.0? 6.0?
6.0, yeah.
Hopefully.
Whenever that turns up. Remember,
They'll
no
still be working on
expansion
it.
confirmed.
That's true.
Though I did see Charles Boyd mention they're doing more voice recording, so with the voice actors that do SWTOR. So more story incoming. No idea how much, of course, or when it'll turn up. Now, on the Twitter, the SWTOR Twitter account, they did release some pictures from the new Warzone map that they announced previously. Claim buried Sith secrets for your side in an all-out 8v8 ground assault on Yavin 4. This is the new Warzone Yavin 4. Yep, that looks like Yavin 4 alright.
Cool.
And also a couple of pictures of the Iokath base GSF map, the new map, which is also coming with Game Update 5.6 when we get the trader among the Chiss Flashpoint. So we knew it was around Iokath, and we just got some pictures now. Now I'm pretty sure they said this was a deathmatch style, but I only saw that in one place. In terms of the actual, there's the two different modes for the maps that they're using so far, and there was just another deathmatch. But still an incredible environment.
Yeah, it's cool. It's from the outside of the I wonder if you also go to the inside, if it's like outside and also the inside of the Dyson sphere.
I don't know. That's a good
That
point.
would be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still cool the way it is. So I mean, even if it's even if it's not interactable and you only get to see it, it's very impressive looking. So I guess in Star Wars they wouldn't be able to call it a Dyson sphere since it was named after an Earth scientist or a writer rather, I think.
Dyson. Yes, indeed.
Haven't they called Iokath the Dyson sphere anyway?
I don't know. I've called it that a lot
when
when I've played the chapter. I refer to it a lot, but I don't remember them actually using the term.
Not in game, so you can't do it within the continuity, but outside it, sure, Dyson sphere.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, and last in the news, sort of, the Quarter 2 2018 earnings call for Electronic Arts was just at the end of October, so just for the last quarter. And in terms of mentioning SWTOR, no mention at all anywhere, and it is still appearing on that one slide, the Select Live Services and Mobile. Under console/PC, there it is, bottom left. Where was it last time? I think it was there last time too.
I think that's the same spot.
I wonder if it's sinking further down. However, it's right next to the Star Wars Battlefront Season Pass.
Yeah, and I didn't mention that, but I finally bought Battlefront because I also pre-bought Battlefront 2 Star Wars, and so I've played the original Battlefront a little bit, and it's a lot of fun. Seems to be a little light on the number of people playing it at the moment. I think everyone's just sort of like, ignoring it because Battlefront 2 is coming out so soon.
Yeah.
Because I was having a hard time like getting into multiplayer matches and stuff, but it's a very pretty game, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to 2 since I've already pre-bought it.
All right. But anyway, no further. It appears Electronic Arts is making a lot of money, including from Battlefront, which is doing extremely well. And they're hoping for even more with Battlefront 2, especially since it includes a single-player campaign. Unlike the original Battlefront, which was only multiplayer. Now, Andrew Wilson, who is the CEO and director, and Australian, of Electronic Arts, in his closing remarks, I just wanted to mention this because he did include Anthem, We are also producing experiences that will blur the lines of how people play, like our shared world action title Anthem, coming from BioWare, and our new IP in development at Motive. Through this growing portfolio of games that push the boundaries forward, we are positioned to offer some of the most captivating experiences in all of entertainment. So they've hinted at this previously. Anthem, is it just effectively a shared world like any other MMO? Or is it something more? They keep implying maybe it's tied into social media somehow. I don't know. But anyway, they didn't really say anything else about Anthem at all in the earnings call. Now, the quarterly report will be out in about a week. Now, there was a Q&A, as it always is, and one question was about Visceral. We talked about that last week, how Visceral has been closed, who were making the Amy Hennig action-adventure Star Wars game. And this is the only thing they talked about regarding that from Andrew Wilson. He said, anytime you close a studio, very tough decision. They take it very seriously, spent a lot of time working through before they have to make such a decision, but it does happen from time to time as part of the creative process. I don't see how closing a studio is somehow associated with the creative process exactly, but he goes on. During a development process of the game that they're working on, we've been testing the game constantly with frozen up. You're going to lose me shortly. I will come back in.
Okay. I think we did lose him.
It's just me. I honestly thought that was something on my end.
All right. So yeah, we'll just vamp for a minute, and if he can't come back for some reason, I'll keep going. But I think for now, I think it sounded like he expected to be back on very soon.
Yes, it kind of sounded like it was a hardware issue.
Mm-hmm. All the
Kinda
hand
sad,
movements. Anu thinks it was all his hand movements. That's one way to freeze his hands.
Yes, but then we lose him as well, which is kind of sad. I can't spell. I hate my wrist.
Yeah. Shared world action title Anthem. I mean, I remember seeing the preview of Anthem and trying to figure out what it was, what kind of game it really was. They're calling it a shared world action game. So I guess it's out in the world like an MMO, but they're not calling it an MMO, so it must be maybe a little less story driven, or just maybe more sort of like alive.
Most MMOs story driven, or I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought SWTOR was very different in the fact that it's very story driven as opposed to others.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah, I mean, SWTOR is. Whew, I think it, MMO or not, I think it's the most story-driven game I've ever played. I mean, you could make an argument that there are some games that are nothing but, story and they have no action at all. And you could, percentage-wise, I guess that would be higher. But, I mean, given the sheer volume of story that there is in SWTOR, I don't think there's any other game that even comes close that I've played that, has this much story in it.
Yeah.
Even if you take like the games that are sort of famous for having lots of little hidden sub stories and stuff like Dragon Age and all that, it's like, does it really add up to more than SWTOR? I don't know. I don't think so, but I haven't really played Dragon Age, so I've only heard about it.
SWTOR was my first MMO, so I mean, I really don't know.
Yeah, Destiny clone, right. Well, Destiny, was very popular, and so, it's that thing where someone comes up with something, kind of new and it goes big, and then all of a sudden everyone else realizes what a what a wonderful type of game this was, and how we should have a game that looks a lot like it. But, there's always little differences and stuff, too. It'll be...
Yeah.
I think the stuff we saw from Anthem was pretty early. It sounded like from what they were describing. It's like, I don't, you know, my hunch is that it'll change a lot before it gets released. Because not only did it look and feel kind of early, but, you know, and what they were saying about it felt very early, and, you know, what they were saying about like release times, you know, which they weren't basically. It all added up to like potentially lots of changes, so it's hard to say what will be up with Anthem. But I don't know, it interested me. So, and I haven't played Destiny. I've heard a lot of good things about it though. So
it looks really fun. I've watched a streamer play it.
Mm-hmm.
But
that was it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, money. I hate being a student.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that will change, but I don't know. I live in a small country.
Yeah, Star Wars Galaxies, yeah. Yeah, sandbox MMOs, I don't know. They appeal to me on some level, but for some reason, I don't get drawn into playing them very much. I mean, I knew about Star Wars Galaxies. My brother-in-law played, and I actually watched him play one evening, and I mean, it looked interesting, but it didn't make me want to play it the way you know, the way that SWTOR makes me want to play SWTOR. So, yeah. Tio is undoing the cramp in his hand. Yes. Otherwise, he can't.
Maybe
talk.
Maybe one week we should really make him sit on his hands. That would be interesting.
All right. Give Tio another minute, but if not, I'll have to keep going on this.
I don't know. Maybe he's had to run out for his kids too, or something.
Possibly, but I mean, it really,
yeah,
based on what he was saying, it did sound more technical. So
it sounded more technical, but if something happened while he was offline, then
yeah,
to take him a bit longer
that
to get
reminds
back
me,
in,
yeah.
wouldn't it?
I should jump on Twitter, because if he's gonna contact me, that's how he'll do it.
Mm.
So let me get on. Oh, is he back? What?
Apparently, his computer's giving
You're
him
locked
issues.
up. He's restarting, but it's not coming up. Give me a couple, and now he's doing a second message to me. And you. Computer won't start. Can you finish up and get your tracks to me? Hopefully I'll be able to get it going. All right, I'll let him know. Okay, will do. Okay. Wow, this is always fun.
Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't left on my own.
All right, so we're going to keep going. I don't know exactly where he stopped, but he was just starting to talk about the closing of Visceral. This is Andrew Wilson, Electronics Arts CEO Director. When you close the studio, it's a very tough decision, something they take very seriously. He says it's become clear to us that to deliver the experience that players wanted to come back and enjoy for a long time, we needed to pivot the design. So that was a game that they were talking about. And we know it was Star Wars related, right? Yeah, because it mentions it here. It wasn't about just a single-player game or it needing to be a live service. It was more about how do we get to a point where the overall gameplay experience was right for players. We still believe strongly in a Star Wars IP. Star Wars Battlefront 2, as you will have heard, we're very excited about. We're also very happy with some of the assets and content that was created as part of that game development. In other words, the one that they killed. And they'll be looking to how to better utilize that in line with fan and player expectations in the future. And then Tio has notes here from kotaku.com.au about the collapse of Visceral's ambitious Star Wars game. It seemed like a surefire hit, a Star Wars take on Uncharted. published by Electronic Arts and developed by the long-running studio Visceral Games. But nothing is sure in the video game industry. And on October 17th, 2017, when employees of Visceral were told that the company would be closing, some who had worked for the studio found themselves unsurprised. In many people's eyes, doom was inevitable. And then it kind of goes into the history of Visceral Games. It was founded in 1998 as EA Redwood Shores, created a bunch of different games, then had its big hit with Dead Space and a couple of spin-offs, including a couple of spin-offs of Dead Space. Then it also went on to make the first-person shooter Battlefield Hardline, which was 2015. Amy Hennig was the iconic director who was best known for writing and directing the first 3 Uncharted games. I remember that when they closed Visceral, that they talked about Amy Hennig and her work on Uncharted. And this was meant to be EA's entry into the action-adventure market, a linear Star Wars story. So yes, I was right, it was Star Wars. A linear Star Wars story set between episodes 4 and 5 movies. So after A New Hope, but before Empire. So this would be before we meet Yoda, before Luke meets Yoda, before the Hoth battle, and so on. Then it would compete with the likes of Uncharted and Tomb Raider. In the weeks leading up to the studio's closure, the staff of Visceral Games had crunched hard, working long hours to make a demo. One of the high-octane demos in which Ragtag's main characters, Ragtag is the code name before that they used internally. The Ragtag's main characters would get chased by a scout walker, get into a shootout on Tatooine, embark on a rescue mission in the dungeons of Jabba's palace. That all sounds fun. One of these people who worked on the game described these demos as a sampler platter, something that would show EA's executives what Visceral's vision of Uncharted Star Wars could become. But the demos weren't enough. Former Visceral employees don't know when EA made the decision to shut down the studio, but on October 17th of this year it became official. Visceral, which employed around 80 people, was no more. Staff say they were given 3 weeks to put together portfolios and look for other employment, both in and outside of EA. So they were given 3 weeks, I guess. I don't know what the standard would be in game development, but at least they got some time. A lot of opinions and editorials about the death of single-player video games, which is certainly true. It feels like, especially the big companies are trying to make a lot of games that have more people interacting with each other, and therefore more opportunities to, come up with more stories and generate more money, essentially. So among game developers, it's been an open secret for months that Visceral's game was in danger. The studio had been bleeding staff for years. That's a bad sign. And recruiters across the video game industry exchanged whispers about Visceral employees looking for new work. And I've also spoken to several other developers who are tangentially connected to Visceral. They all share similar stories. Ragtag was a project sunk by many factors, including a lack of resources, a vision too ambitious for its budget, a difficult game engine, a director who clashed with staff, a studio located in one of the most expensive cities in the world, a reputation for toxicity, multiple conflicts between Visceral and EA, and what can only be described as the curse of Star Wars. I'm not sure what that's really referring to, because there's been a lot of successful Star Wars games, but maybe that's more of maybe in the game design world there's sort of a known curse, but I'm not sure exactly what they're referring to. Some say that EA was never quite committed to Ragtag, which would make sense. Blah blah blah. And let's see. EA, for its part, disputes the notion that it killed Ragtag for being single player. This truly isn't about the death of single-player games. I love single-player, by the way, or the story and character-driven games, said Soderlund. Storytelling has always been a part of who we are, and single-player games will, of course, continue. This also isn't about needing a game that monetizes in a certain way. Well, he's hitting all the things that people were certainly, pointing at it about. These are both important topics, but that's not what this is. In the end of the day, it was a creative decision. We just didn't think we were getting it quite right. So yeah, so basically they're just saying it wasn't, the game design was not coming together, and they just weren't happy about it. So there you go. All right. Well, it kind of goes on. There's a lot more. I'm sure some of this will be in the show notes, but we'll kind of skip a bit.
It is one long article.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone I asked about Ragtag's story was unanimous about one thing. They all thought it was awesome. So that's in conflict, at least with EA's point of view, apparently. The lead protagonist was Dodger, described as a cracked mirror version of Han Solo, and over the course of the game, he would battle alongside a band of fellow misfits like Robbie, a gunslinger and Dodger's partner in crime, Una, a daughter of a mob boss, and Buck, the veteran leader and mentor of the crew. Set between the original Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, Ragtag would focus on the impact of Alderaan's destruction and tell a story about criminal families, scoundrels, and action-packed heists. This was the coolest stuff I've ever seen, said one person who saw the story. Hennig had a total buy-in from the start on that. Everyone was buzzing. Well, there you go. I don't know what to tell you. It sounds like there's a lot of he said, she said in this. So, yeah. And it would be very expensive. It was in San Francisco. That is the most expensive city, like practically anywhere. All right, so I think that kind of gives us a good idea of what was going on with the visceral clothes. Perhaps if Tio wants to fill it out more on the next episode, he probably can. But there's a lot to that. A lot to that. All right, so then let's see. There's Tio has some stuff about lead animator Stephen Gilmore has left BioWare. He connects to his LinkedIn profile, and it looks like his last one was he was actually working on Anthem until August 2017. So according to his LinkedIn, Stephen has left that project, Anthem. He was a veteran developer and spent 17 years with BioWare, worked on KOTOR, Mass Effect Trilogy, and Dragon Age Inquisition. It's always an alarming sign when project leaders start to leave. We can only hope whatever the reason for the departure was that Anthem development is going well and that we'll get a good quality product in the end. So a lot of stuff going on at EA, it sounds like. Very, very complicated stuff going on. Let's see. No company is without turnover. Even with senior people, it happens. Let's see. Let's take KOTOR, which came out in 2003 as an example. If you look at the credits under Core Game Design, which is literally the first list in the credits, we have the following: David Faulkner, Stephen Gilmore, Casey Hudson, Drew Karpyshyn, James Olin, Preston Watamayak, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, sorry Preston, and Derek Watts. The only person in that list who's gone is Steve, with Drew and Casey both having left but also coming back. I know it's easy to look for any details to determine what's going on when there's so little news, but I would say don't read into the departures too much. I can only speak for myself, but yes, going silent for a long time is less than ideal, but it is semi-necessary for the method of communication that I employ. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on in EA and all that stuff. But so it's one of those things that it's interesting because they're a public company. They are sort of supposed to keep a lot, release a lot of information that if they were a truly private company, they wouldn't be able to. But on the other hand, it's not the easiest. Doesn't necessarily mean they have to release every bit of information. Only what is considered sort of germane to the price of the stock, essentially. So yeah, so it's interesting to sort of see behind the scenes in this way, though. All right, well, perhaps Teal will. Maybe he had some more cogent things to say about that, in which case I hope he does either edit some into this episode, or he can talk about it next episode, perhaps. So that'll bring us to the Force Feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails. And Medulla wrote in, I can confirm that the infected companion customizations are hilarious in romance scenes. Hey, I thought that sounded awesome. / creepy. My smuggler romanced Zombie Corso, and it was hilarious and only slightly less creepy than normal. That's awesome. Yeah, it kind of makes me want to do that at some point. But the problem is, I mean, because I level from level 1 all the time, and I don't like do PvP leveling or whatever. Yeah, I haven't been able to do that. So that's pretty funny. Let's see. And from Davison Ludwig from SWTOR Apps. He writes, Hey Tio and the team at OotiniCast, longtime listener and creator of SWTOR Apps. Davison here. Wanted to share with you my latest 2-part project with y'all and see if you might be interested in talking about it. Maybe if time permits, we could even do an interview. I know in the past that's something you've been interested in. To preference. Let's see. Okay, well, I'll just start at the next part. The objective of this project is to help grow the Tor community and provide resources that I found useful to others. It's also an exercise for me in web development. So there is a purpose behind this that is sort of selfish, my own learning in creating a scaling web app and server infrastructure. Very cool. I will link to the Reddit posts, and these will be in the show notes. But essentially, SWTOR Apps will now be providing free hosting to any SWTOR guild via our new Guild Sites program. The websites are built around a modified version of WordPress, and it offers a complete control and customization to users. We do not intend to be like Engine or other sites that aim to make a profit. We do not charge at all for this service. I just have gotten tired of not finding what I like in terms of guild hosting, and decided to make what I do for my guild public and available to everyone else. Sounds cool. So, part 1 of this project is guild hosting, but what is part 2? Server communities. We are creating free server communities for each English server in the US and Europe. That is becoming easier by the week. Why English? Because unfortunately we don't speak English or German here and cannot provide adequate support, though others are welcome to create...
I don't speak English?
Oh, did I say that? Sorry.
You said English.
Did I? Okay. Why English? Because we do not speak French or German here and cannot provide adequate support, though others are welcome to create a new community via guild sites for those servers and languages. These communities will offer all the tools guild sites do but more, including an item trade and sell tool and server rating schedules. Excuse me. An example of the Starforge community can be found at, and it'll be it's basically guilds.swotorapps.com/starforge. And that'll be in the show notes as well. Let me talk about timing. Guild Sites is coming out this Friday, 10/27, but users can experience server community starting tomorrow. Let's see, 10/25, so that was a week ago. And then there's some Reddit links, and Davison says, thank you again for your time. I can answer any questions you may have. I really love the game and want to see it grow. Thanks, Davison. Sounds awesome. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think it's always cool when you hear about someone who, like, you know, they just get a passion project, essentially. They find something that they're really interested in, want to learn more about, want to do more about, and then they just sort of make it available to other people. That's very awesome. All right. Was there anything, because I've been just straight reading, Liba, have you noticed anything in the chat room that we should talk about?
No, although
Okay.
I've kind of been reading along with you to catch your apparent mistakes.
Fair enough.
Which I didn't think that I'd be able to find, but apparently.
But yeah, but then I completely mind fluffed one, so... All right, then, that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /c join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions or comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live semi-bi-weekly on Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room, and thank you to Liba Roja.
Quite a lot.
And we'll see you next week. All right, everyone. Well, hopefully Tio's computer will be back up. If not, I guess I will probably be doing the editing, but it's all good either way. Yeah, sounds, according to his message, sounds like he's having some pretty serious hardware issues there. So you guys take care. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and thanks again for coming. See you next time.